Please subscribe and like for the latest updates. Or you can request your favorite manga in the comments below.
A stark warning flashes, urging readers to support the website to ensure the continuation of quality content. The title card explodes with vibrant energy, revealing the protagonist poised for action and hinting at a great awakening. Credits roll, acknowledging the artists and editors who have brought this unfolding story to life. Back at the Ziwe residence, the clock has long passed midnight. Mom stands by the window, her gaze fixed on the empty street, her worry a palpable presence in the quiet house. The house is silent, but her heart races with 1,000 unanswered questions about his whereabouts. A meticulously prepared dinner sits on the table, growing cold as the hours tick by. She whispers her deep longing for his safe return. A soft sigh escapes her lips, her hope clinging precariously to the stillness of the night air. The sound of her anxious breath fills the silence. An ominous presence looms. A formidable figure, ancient and powerful, watches from the shadows. The protagonist lands with a decisive thud in the heart of the azure forest. He lets out a determined breath, the air around him charged with his readiness to face whatever challenges lie ahead. His foot plants firmly on the ground, a silent declaration of his presence and resolve. A familiar foe reappears, their gaze hardening with renewed determination. He stands at the peak of E-class, fully prepared for what comes next. He proudly declares his victory over an Icefield bear, acknowledging the valuable experience gained. The battle concluded, he gathers his hard-earned experience. The harsh environment of the azure forest surrounds him. A grunt of exertion escapes him as the intensity of the fight escalates. He pushes through the pain, his resolve unwavering. Another victory is secured. The ferocious forest demon monkey falls, its defeat adding to his growing experience. His gaze sharpens, assessing the aftermath of the fierce confrontation. The fight takes a dramatic turn as he faces a powerful cloud element spell fiend. He demonstrates an incredible immunity and resistance to the spell fiend's elemental attacks. A shadowed figure, ancient and imposing, stands as a silent sentinel. Their presence hints at the trials yet to come and the dangers that lurk within the azure forest. The forest erupts with a flurry of energy, a testament to the fierce battle that just concluded. The air itself crackles with residual power. Elemental forces collide, painting the environment with streaks of vibrant blue. The very essence of the azure forest pulses with power, foretelling the challenges ahead. A devastating barrage descends, an ice storm assault that threatens to overwhelm all in its path. The sheer force of the attack is palpable. Against the icy onslaught, a defiant glow emanates. Immune flashes, a symbol of unwavering resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. The impact is nullified. Frost damage is completely mitigated, proving the protagonist's incredible resistance to such elemental fury. The battle rages on, a blur of motion and elemental power. The protagonist moves with incredible speed, dodging and weaving through the chaotic storm. A fleeting moment of clarity amidst the chaos. The protagonist's weapon becomes a streaking blur, poised for a decisive strike. With a sharp, decisive motion, the protagonist strikes. The energy from the blow is immense. The world around the protagonist seems to shimmer with their increasing power. They are a force to be reckoned with. The dust begins to settle, revealing the outcome of the intense clash. The defeated foe lies in ruin. The protagonist stands firm, their determination palpable. Their gaze is already fixed on the next challenge, the path forward clear. With a confident declaration of imminent advancement, the protagonist activates Flash Blink, a testament to their foresight and incredible swiftness. A final, swift, and powerful strike connects, ending the conflict with absolute decisiveness. The residual energy dissipates into the air, marking the conclusion of the fierce battle. A sense of accomplishment settles over the protagonist as the world around them seems to shift, charged with the victory. The defeated leader of the azure forest lies vanquished, its reign over the area brought to an abrupt end. The spoils of victory appear, a cascade of experience points flooding in, signifying the protagonist's growth. The protagonist has successfully ascended to D-class Nucleo Warrior, their power level significantly boosted by this hard-won victory. A final, triumphant declaration echoes, a resounding announcement of the arduous fight's conclusion. The protagonist stands victorious, a silent but powerful testament to their strength and newly honed skills. The essence of victory coalesces, promising new abilities and potential that will shape future endeavors. The fallen leader is officially recognized as defeated, a significant milestone in the protagonist's journey and a key moment in their rise. The protagonist revels in their advancement, acknowledging the substantial EXP gain and their successful transition to D-class Nucleo Warrior. With all attributes boosted and new points acquired, the protagonist's power has reached new heights, and the promise of further rewards awaits. He absorbed the newly acquired item, its permanent intellect boost registering as crucial for what lay ahead. Suddenly, a system notification blazed. The cloud element had accumulated enough, signaling the awakening of a new profession. He realized with a jolt, so focused on combat, he'd completely forgotten about this potential breakthrough. His mind raced, a surge of disbelief. The cloud element had truly gathered enough? This meant he was on the cusp of unlocking something significant. With a burst of energy, the system confirmed the successful acquisition of something new. A level 1 E-class cloud element mage profession was unlocked. He noted its immediate switchability and the rarity of a red profession, even at this low class, recognizing the immense 200% bonus it offered. He switched his profession to cloud element mage, marveling at how its initial attribute strength was already on par with his D-class warrior. New D-class mage gear was equipped, boosting his elemental power and spirit, and promising a significant expansion of his magic's area of effect. A D-class magic pouch was also acquired, capable of holding a substantial number of items. Confused grunts from some remaining forest creatures echoed around him. He addressed the remaining lesser foes, a confident glint in his eyes. He acknowledged that there were still some minor threats left in the area. With a decisive action, he successfully switched to his new cloud element mage mode, feeling the shift in power. He prepared to test his newly acquired abilities. He declared his intention to try out this completely new profession, noting the date and time, Sunday, May 24, 21:05, 5 a.m., back at the Ziyue residence. The scene shifts to the quiet interior of the Ziyue residence, the living room still and empty, indicating the early hour. A faint creaking sound is heard. A sense of quiet anticipation fills the air. A soft exclamation is heard. The protagonist appears, his voice gentle as he apologizes to his mother for his prolonged absence. He steps into the room, a bag in his hand. The atmosphere is charged with emotion as they reunite. He notices his mother, clearly worried, who hasn't even eaten while waiting for him. With a hopeful smile, he asks his mother if she'd be willing to hear a proposal he has. He repeats his question, his hopeful smile widening, asking his mother if she would be willing to hear a proposal he has. Upon returning home, he found his mother anxiously waiting, worried that he hadn't eaten. Seeing her, a new idea sparked within him, and he asked if she was willing to hear his suggestion. He proposed they leave everything behind, to move away and escape their troubles forever. With a flourish, he revealed a magic bag, filled with numerous valuable items, eager to begin their new life. Approaching a merchant, he offered a diamond, suggesting a price of 800. The merchant, with a glint in his eye, immediately countered with a price of 8,000. Disbelief and outrage filled the merchant as he argued the diamond wasn't worth that much, trying to haggle aggressively. A tense negotiation ensued, with the merchant's shouts escalating as the protagonist artfully raised his price, much to the merchant's chagrin. He recalled his past life, remembering how he'd known how to deal with intermediaries and sell such items for a good price. His thoughts turned somber as he remembered his mother's hardships in his previous life, how she never had a single good day. In this life, his sole desire was to ensure she could finally find peace and enjoy herself. The landlord enthusiastically detailed the favorable terms for their new home, impressed by the protagonist's straightforwardness. That evening, in their new home, he watched his mother with a sense of deep contentment, enjoying her relaxed smile. He felt a sense of accomplishment, having resolved their housing situation and increased his own strength. Yet, he remained wary, knowing the threat he faced was still active, even if his enemy was imprisoned. He knew he couldn't pursue revenge without ensuring all loose ends were tied up. The next day, he planned to return to school, armed with his new D-rank weapon, the Demon Stone, which would enhance his magic and allow him to search for what he needed. The new gear made him feel ready to begin searching for what he needed, wherever that may lead. Back at school, a teacher observed that one of the students, referred to as the young master, had made significant progress. Another student suggested they take a break from their intense training. However, one student, brimming with competitive spirit, declared his intention to seek more challenging training in the next demon lair. The students were preparing for a crucial simulated combat test, the final assessment for graduation. Fueled by ambition, another student proclaimed he would prove himself the true genius during the upcoming test, having just achieved a new rank. He looked out at the city lights, a contemplative expression on his face. He noted that none of the new awakeners possessed a golden tier profession, a detail that left him feeling uninspired about the upcoming test. The sheer artistry of the panels was a familiar comfort, a distant echo of a life once lived, yet here, it was just a prelude. This upcoming simulated test held little promise, especially with the apparent lack of any truly exceptional awakeners. It seemed there was nothing to look forward to in this simulated test. The morning began calmly on May 25, 2105, a Monday at 7:30 a.m., back in their rented house, a spread of breakfast laid out before him. Waking up, he found his mother there, and couldn't help but ask why she hadn't woken him. His mother, with a gentle smile, explained that he had been sleeping so soundly, she just couldn't bring herself to wake him. She urged him to eat slowly, assuring him it was fine to be a little late for school just this once. He admitted that it had been a very long time since he'd slept so peacefully. And more than that, he realized he'd never experienced a steady breakfast with her like this before, a quiet moment of pure contentment. Suddenly, his mother's demeanor shifted, and he asked what was wrong, offering toys, books, or any electronic device if that's what she wanted. He noticed a peculiar shift in his mother's expression, a subtle change that caught his attention. With a playful laugh, he wondered if she was suddenly wanting to give him a gift, reminding her that her own birthday was next Friday. A calendar hung on the wall, marking the days of June, a simple visual cue of passing time. His eyes widened slightly as he realized, so June 5th is my birthday. He looked down, the memory of his past life flooding back. It had been too long since his mother's death, his birthday had faded from his mind. He pondered the question, what was it that he truly wanted most? He smiled, a deep sense of contentment washing over him. What he wanted most, he already had. The weight of his past, the unspoken promises, settled in his heart. A new resolve began to form. He declared his next goal, he needed to complete it. He needed to kill him. A single, stark number appeared, a grim reminder of a past he couldn't forget. The scene shifted to the Awakener-affiliated school, where a teacher addressed the students, preparing them for the upcoming devilish actual combat, the simulated combat. The teacher emphasized the undeniable importance of the simulated combat that lay ahead. He explained that their school was directly affiliated with the Divine Guild, and their every move was under constant observation, with simulated combat serving as their first public performance. This crucial battle would not only be their middle school graduation assessment but would also be broadcast live. More importantly, the teacher revealed that the top performers would earn the chance to join the Journey of Cultivation alongside the high school department. The Journey of Cultivation was highlighted as an annual event, offering the most direct route to connect with the Divine Guild, and the school organized the most promising candidates. Outstanding students from both middle and high school are being gathered for a special trip to Xinghua, the headquarters of the Divine Guild. Xinghua, it's the headquarters of the Divine Guild. It's also where my master and I first met. The place holds a significant memory, a place where my master and I first met. It's also that person's birthplace, though he only joined the Divine Legion after I did, so they had no prior connection. My goal now is to find him. The fastest way to do that is to get a high score on this assessment and blend into the journey of cultivation. The simulated actual combat is this Friday. I'm so scared yet excited, I'm so pumped up. I heard the actual combat will take place in a demon's den, can we really do it? Alright, let's start the official training. First level, physical training. This is the gravity room, everyone do 10 sets of shuttle runs first. Ah. The hot-blooded guy is going on stage. I want to do 20 sets. The students prepare for their training. Teacher, I don't want to use this training room. Some students are clearly apprehensive about the upcoming training. Bai stood with a stern expression, clearly dissatisfied with his current training environment. As training commenced, Bai voiced his unease, telling his teacher he did not want to use the current training room. He directly stated his refusal to engage in the current training methods. Seeing Bai's defiance, a few students reacted with surprise. The teacher, taken aback, questioned Bai's refusal. The teacher brought up Bai's recent conflict with Han Changxing, warning him not to think he could skip training just because he won a fight. Bai clarified that he didn't want to skip training, but wished to pursue more specialized methods. The teacher, still surprised, asked Bai to elaborate on his idea of specialized training. The teacher challenged Bai, asking if he believed there was something wrong with his methods. He defended the necessity of physical conditioning for most awakened individuals, but pointed out that shuttle runs were only suitable for certain professions. He stressed that shuttle runs weren't suitable for everyone, only professions that required speed and coordination like warriors and assassins. Bai explained that professions like mages and chanters would benefit more from training in the element room, focusing on elemental power control. He elaborated that because everyone's attributes and personal habits were unique, their training focus should also be different. The teacher, feeling challenged, pointedly told Bai he sounded like he was trying to teach his own instructor. A student pointed out that Bai's proposed training methods were the same as those recently suggested by Mr. Dongyang of the Divine Corps. Another student marveled that Bai came up with the same ideas as Mr. Dongyang, noting it was only recently proposed and that they only knew about it because their father brought back a video. Another student was astonished that Bai independently developed the same training concept as Mr. Dongyang. A few students scolded Bai for his bluntness, urging him to be more considerate of the teacher's feelings. They reminded Bai that their teacher was the school's most authoritative trainer, and his disrespect was unacceptable. A student called out Bai's name, their expression a mixture of shock and disbelief. The teacher acknowledged that Bai's training method sounded interesting, softening his stance. A student expressed relief that the teacher was open to the idea, but pointed out the difficulty of catering to everyone's specific needs in a large school. The teacher explained the immense pressure of the combat simulation, stating that messing it up could ruin a student's entire life. He reflected on the difficulty of his role, weighing the decision of guiding students versus allowing them to forge their own paths. The students were shown in a wider view, looking towards the teacher, highlighting the scale of the class and the weight of the teacher's words. Bai, recalling his past life, remembered the kindness of good teachers who helped him grow without becoming twisted, despite a terrible original family. Bai, with unwavering resolve, assures his teacher that he won't disappoint him in the upcoming graduation performance. The teacher, intrigued but wary, questions Bai's unconventional training desires, asking how he plans to train and if he could maximize the elemental suppression in the element room, despite being a nuclear warrior. Bai points towards the element room, a look of surprise on his face, contemplating the teacher's challenge. He explains his aspiration for more balanced abilities, even as a warrior, and his drive to push past his limitations and confront his weaknesses. Confessing that some aspirations must be kept private, Bai admits his desire to train in a mage profession, yearning for more balanced skills. Eager to practice elemental control, Bai makes his request. The teacher, though hesitant about the implications, eventually concedes, but warns Bai not to embarrass him during the final assessment. A fellow mage student, excited by the prospect, asks to practice elemental control with Bai Yi, but he declines, stating he needs a private room for focused training. The mage student questions the efficiency of solo training. Upon being rejected, they feel a surge of competitive spirit, challenged by Bai Yi's refusal. Entering the private training room, Bai Yi briefly contemplates if there's a place to slack off, given his current standing. The thought is immediately dismissed. His focus remains absolute. Bai Yi acknowledges his deep familiarity with the warrior profession but recognizes his novice status as a mage, even as the elemental suppression begins to drop. He resolves to master these new skills as quickly as possible. He understands the critical need to conceal his ability to acquire other professions. This school is under the god's jurisdiction, and every move is scrutinized. Bai Yi realizes that revealing his full potential too early would undoubtedly make him a target. Elsewhere, a rival student declares their determination not to be surpassed by Bai Yi, as their own elemental suppression fluctuates. Bai Yi concludes that it is best to avoid getting too involved with his classmates. The scene then shifts to after school. Bai Yi rides his bike, seemingly alone. Suddenly, two familiar figures call out to him, trying to catch up. Bai Yi recognizes them as his former middle school friends, Specs and another student, and notes their eagerness to keep up. They recall their past struggles, being at the bottom and bullied together, and humorously acknowledge that none of them were ever expected to reach high school. Bai Yi reflects that those were his only happy times in middle school, but his current goal of revenge means social interactions are simply a distraction. Specs voices his confusion and hurt over Bai Yi's abrupt departure and what he perceives as abandonment, questioning their supposed unbreakable trio. His friend observes that Bai Yi seems to have become stronger and more confident since his awakening. After school, Bai Yi rode ahead on his bike, leaving his old friends behind on the sidewalk. He mused to himself, why would someone on a bike ever wait for those walking? He was already far ahead. Suddenly, one of his friends called out, "Hey!" Still on his bike, Bai Yi directly addressed Specs, telling him that he needed to get his lungs checked when he had the time. Specs looked taken aback, only managing to utter, "Huh?" The other friend, excited, assumed Bai Yi had been waiting for them, but Bai Yi quickly dismissed the idea, stating that they simply couldn't keep up. Protesting, the excited friend demanded if Bai Yi had waited just to mock them. The friend continued to argue, claiming that if they hadn't used up all their energy on shuttle runs, they would have easily kept pace. They accused Bai Yi of only doing 6 sets, as if he had done more. Bai Yi remembered how, in his past life, Specs had suffered from a severe lung disease and had tragically passed away. Even though they weren't friends now, a quiet hope flickered within him that Specs was at least healthy. Watching Bai Yi's cold departure, one of his friends exclaimed how he had suddenly become so cold and was acting like a jerk. The other friend, a little more thoughtful, remarked that although Bai Yi had changed significantly, he still felt like the same person deep down. This is content for Thunder Scans. Before we dive in, a crucial reminder, your support keeps these stories coming. Please read on our website to help us continue publishing with the best quality translations. Our story opens at the Xinghe Nation's new recruit training ground, a scenic coastal location. Mr. Dongyang is informed about a new recruit who's been performing exceptionally well since joining the Divine Guild. He directly addresses this standout, asking if they're the one who shattered all the existing records. The recruit humbly deflects the praise, stating they're simply there to report to Mr. Dongyang. Later that evening, a gentle plea is made to Mom, please stop going out alone. A promise is made to be home early and handle the grocery shopping from now on. A deep-seated desire is expressed to provide Mom with a more stable and safe environment, acknowledging that the current situation isn't enough. The title card looms, ominously announcing Awaken Prison. A stark message follows, speaking of repentance for past misdeeds and remolding for a new life. Someone prepares to leave, signaling a departure from the current somber setting. Assurances are given that a certain matter has been arranged, and the person involved will be released tomorrow. The scene shifts to Tuesday, on campus, where studies are in full swing. A student has been diligently practicing mage controls, focusing intently on the crucial aspects of casting time and elemental power calculation. With renewed determination, they declare their intent to complete 10 sets of exercises today. Wednesday arrives, bringing a quieter atmosphere on campus. When invited to dinner, a student politely declines, stating they need to head home early. Two students react with concern and a touch of dismay to the student's decision, finding it rather cold. An archer receives critical feedback, being told their wind-up animation is too slow and they need to practice their initial movements more. Two students stand before a fiery background, one with a look of excited surprise, the other coolly observing. Thursday afternoon. The scene shifts to the school hospital, where a student sits across from a doctor. The doctor explains that it's fortunate the student came in for a checkup, as the parasitic tumor discovered in their lungs can grow quite rapidly. He emphasizes the need for surgery at a major hospital, assuring the student they'll recover once it's removed. The student agrees to schedule the procedure. A stark black frame indicates a transition. A memory surfaces. Someone had advised the student to get their lungs checked when they had the chance. The student wonders how that person knew about their lung condition, especially since it was only discovered during a school physical that included a CT scan. A sudden question arises, wondering what happened to Bai. The conversation turns to whispers and rumors as someone asks if others have heard the latest news. The talk is all about Qiangxing, who has apparently cheated his way to E-class, level 4, and is expected to dominate the upcoming assessment. Disbelief surfaces as students question how he managed this, and the explanation is given: his family possesses a private labyrinth used for training their own army. Another black frame signifies a pause or transition. The topic then turns to someone who provoked Qiangxing the previous weekend, and plans are being made to confront them after school. The urgency is clear as the speaker notes that with Qiangxing's temper, he wouldn't let such an insult go unanswered. The full extent of Qiangxing's violent intentions is revealed. He's armed himself and is planning to kill the person, going so far as to seek them out off school grounds. A final message encourages readers to support the creators by reading on their official site. Regret washes over the protagonist. He knows provoking someone like that was a mistake. A desperate urge to rush to Bai's side consumes him. He worries Bai will be ambushed outside of school, with dirty tricks involved. There's even a chance they'd call in reinforcements to gang up on Bai. But a doubt creeps in: what good would it do for him to go? He pauses, then remembers the debt he owes. Then he remembers, Bai had saved him, given him a second chance at life. He has to save his brother, even if it means risking his own life. Bai, hang on. Someone stops him, questioning why he's trying to break into the armory, stating that avoiding trouble is their principle. A loud crash echoes as something gives way. He won't forget that Bai saved him, gave him back his life. A cry of exertion escapes him. No matter the cost, he has to save his brother. Bai, hang on. He's asked again why he's trying to break into the armory. The other person notices his frantic state, asking what's wrong and if he's in a hurry. He has to go, no matter what. He's going to save Bai. The protagonist calls out to the person following him, asking what they want. Hong Qiangxing scoffs, stating the obvious: he's there to settle the score from last weekend. He steps forward, a cold aura radiating around him, ready to fight. Hong Qiangxing taunted the protagonist, questioning if he believed he could win now. Fueled by his recent training, the protagonist declared his readiness and began to accelerate, a surge of power erupting around him. He boasted that his efforts hadn't been in vain, his expression fierce and determined. With blinding speed, the protagonist executed a backstab, blink behind technique, vanishing from his original position. Hong Qiangxing watched, a flicker of surprise crossing his face as he noted the protagonist's sudden increase in attack power. A wave of intense energy washed over them. The protagonist's eyes glowed, and he questioned if Hong Qiangxing truly believed he was the only one who had grown stronger. Hong Qiangxing's face contorted in disbelief and shock, his eyes widening as he realized the protagonist's attack power now surpassed his own. He was utterly astonished, unable to comprehend the sudden power surge. The protagonist's determined gaze suggested he had anticipated this reaction. His eyes glowed with a new, formidable power. The protagonist revealed his transformation, his eyes radiating a fierce, newfound strength. He readied his weapons, a dangerous glint in his eyes. He held his blades ready, the air crackling with anticipation as the two stood locked in a tense standoff. A profound silence fell, broken only by the protagonist's heavy breathing, as he waited for Han Changxing's next move. Han Changxing was momentarily stunned, realizing something he had overlooked during their first encounter. He understood that after all his training and growth, the protagonist was now on a completely different level, a level he could never surpass. The raw power emanating from the protagonist was undeniable. Despite their similar age, Han Changxing felt an overwhelming sense of inferiority, realizing the person standing before him was someone he could never hope to overcome. Han Changxing found himself utterly bewildered, unable to pinpoint what he had missed during their initial encounter. But now, after long hours dedicated to training and growth, the change in the protagonist was undeniable, a power he felt instantly. The protagonist stood, radiating an overwhelming power that Han Changxing could sense immediately. Despite their similar age, it was brutally clear that the protagonist had become someone Han Changxing could never hope to surpass. Battered and pinned, Han Changxing could only stare up at the overwhelming presence of the protagonist. Frustrated and confused, Han Changxing demanded to know how the protagonist had leveled up so quickly, asking what level he had reached and how he had achieved it. He cried out, utterly convinced it was impossible, lamenting his own intense efforts to reach level 4 and questioning how the protagonist could possibly be faster. The protagonist simply echoed the words hard work, with a hint of mockery. Han Changxing's own frustration and bewilderment were evident. The protagonist's expression shifted, a chilling question hanging in the air: had Han Changxing ever died? Defiant even in defeat, Han Changxing told the protagonist to do as he pleased, be it kill or torture him. He admitted that he had been looked down upon, but claimed he didn't hate the protagonist that much. The protagonist pointed out that Han Changxing had followed him, chosen to confront him alone without calling for backup. He deduced that Han Changxing had only wanted to test his own strength, not truly defeat him. Han Changxing, enraged, demanded the protagonist either kill him now or await his own revenge, rejecting the protagonist's insightful gaze. In response, the protagonist retracted his earlier statement, admitting he did, in fact, hate Han Changxing quite a bit. Suddenly, a voice from the sidelines alerted the protagonist, "Look. They're over there." The two observing students felt that for now, there was nothing for them to do. The protagonist, however, turned back to Han Changxing, stating he had actually been waiting for him. The protagonist then proposed a deal: he could offer a way to get stronger, faster. Han Changxing's eyes widened in shock at the proposal. But he made it clear that in return for this accelerated growth, Han Changxing would have to give him something. May 29th, Friday. Assessment Day. The week of intense training was officially over. The teacher announced that the combat simulation was about to begin. Before we begin, the teacher emphasizes something crucial: even though it's a combat simulation, they are about to enter a real labyrinth. He explains that while most of its power is sealed, dangers still lurk within, like numerous beasts that students must be mindful of. To ensure everyone's safety, outstanding seniors from the high school division have been assigned as guides. They will intervene or end the simulation if students face true danger. Teams of 4 to 5 students will be formed, with one senior leading each group into a dungeon instance. Students will have the choice between F-class or the more difficult E-class dungeon instances. The teacher advises against challenging the E-class without sufficient strength, warning of potential academic credit loss. The time has come to select their labyrinth level, after which teams will be formed accordingly. The teacher calls for those choosing the E-class to raise their hands. A hand shoots up, followed by others, as students indicate their choice for the E-class labyrinth, some with confidence, others with a touch of apprehension. The teacher announces that out of 180 students, only 8 have chosen the E-class. He expresses surprise that Bai didn't opt for it. He then tells the remaining students they will be randomly assigned to the F-class labyrinth. Suddenly, a student calls out, asking the teacher to pause. The teacher is about to continue when a voice interrupts him. Students comment on the boldness of those choosing the E-class, finding it incredibly daring. One student admits they would have chosen the E-class if they weren't only a green quality professional. The teacher confirms that only 8 out of 180 students chose E-class, then expresses his surprise that Bai didn't select it. He informs the rest of the students that they will be randomly allocated to the F-class labyrinth. Just as the teacher is about to proceed, a student calls out, requesting a moment. Bai then declares his intention to challenge the school's D-class Spirit Jade Labyrinth instead, shocking everyone present. The other students react with astonishment and disbelief at Bai's audacious request to challenge a D-class labyrinth. Standing resolute, declared his bold intention, he wanted to challenge the school's D-rank demon caves. A crowd of students watched, a ripple of disbelief starting to spread among them. Gasps and bewildered questions filled the air as the magnitude of his announcement sunk in. One student, incredulous, blurted out if was serious, questioning who would attempt such a feat. The general sentiment was clear: jumping straight into a D-rank cave was unheard of, met with absolute disbelief. A senior student voiced the obvious danger, pointing out that high school students wouldn't normally dare to attempt such a thing. Another student questioned if the school's handbook itself didn't prohibit such a dangerous undertaking. Someone clarified that while simulated combat rules allowed choosing one's own level, the D-rank cave was a different matter, implicitly dangerous. Countered, explaining that the school's very mission was to scout talent, to find those who possessed specific qualities. He passionately argued that the standards were courage, strength, responsibility, and giftedness, and that he deserved a chance to prove himself. He looked directly at the director, asking if he would really deny him the opportunity to demonstrate his worth. The director, looking stern, stated a fundamental rule: all cave entries required teams. However, was unyielding, insisting he could go alone, though the director reminded him that solo entries were forbidden to protect students. Suddenly, Chi-in raised her hand, a surprising declaration that she would also choose D-rank. Turned, shocked by Chi-yin's unexpected offer, a mix of surprise and concern on his face. Chi-in, her eyes bright, expressed her own ambition to achieve the highest score, but also her worry about what would happen if something were to befall, her father's reaction weighing on her. She added with a cheerful determination that she also just wanted to give it a try. But refused her offer, his resolve firm, reiterating his intention to tackle the D-rank cave solo. Chi-yin's excitement quickly turned to dismay as she heard his refusal. The director, clearly exasperated, exclaimed his disbelief at S' repeated refusal. He then stated that S' refusal didn't count, sighing in frustration at the unfolding situation. The director, facing this impasse, declared that the D-rank run would have to be between just the two of them, assuming no senior students would dare to join. A confident voice cut through the tension as Xiling stepped forward, volunteering to join, stating he would go. His hand shot up, a clear signal of his intention. Xiling spoke of the nation's flowers needing protection, hinting at his own ambitions and near entry into the ultimate school corps. One of the upperclassmen, seeing Xiling step forward, felt a sense of relief, thinking that if the senior was involved, then he could relax. Another student excitedly exclaimed about senior Xiling, remembering he had almost been accepted into the prestigious ultimate school corps. The mention of the ultimate school corps and Xiling's name caused a stir, with some students looking intrigued. The tension hung in the air as the students processed this new development. Some of the upperclassmen scoffed, dismissing Xiling and anyone who dared to challenge the D-rank caves, calling him another peacock who overestimated his abilities. They continued to mock Xiling's eagerness, criticizing his pride and lack of self-awareness. The director, seizing the moment, announced that the teams were now set and the simulation test would commence immediately. A ripple of anticipation went through the gathered students as the director's words sank in. He informed them that professional streaming equipment would be accompanying them inside the caves, ensuring the entire test would be recorded. The director urged everyone to give their absolute best effort during the upcoming trial. He declared that the ultimate goal was to see who among them could achieve the highest score this time. Stood resolute, his gaze fixed forward, ready to prove himself and his potential. A stern warning flashes, urging readers to support the creators by visiting their website to continue enjoying the series. An imposing figure, radiating power, stands ready, holding a glowing blade. The story is credited to Tony, with art by Hama and editing by AI, under the OAG Dorag Culture and Tencent Animation banner. The impressive structure of the Awakened Academy is revealed, built directly atop a once-conquered Great Demon Cave. The academy houses both the high school and middle school divisions, bustling with activity. Branching off from the main cave are numerous smaller caves, perfectly suited for student trials. These student trial caves are predominantly ranked from F to D, each a gateway to simulated combat. As students prepare to enter, the reality sets in. Entering a dungeon signifies the start of simulated combat, and every moment is live-streamed and meticulously recorded. Lingyi acknowledges the absolute necessity for caution. He resolves to hold back his full strength, to avoid revealing all his trump cards when facing unknown threats. Lingyi declares that the Lingyi Demon Cave is where he will find what he desires. In the distance, a senior confidently tells his juniors he will protect them all. He boasts about having cleared an unsealed D-rank cave before, wondering aloud about the strength of the monsters within. He explains that typically, D-rank monsters range from E5 to D5, around level 5 to 15. The senior clarifies that the stronger monsters in the school's caves are sealed, so actual D-rank beasts are rarely encountered, let alone a boss. However, he warns not to underestimate high-level E-rank monsters, whose speed and attack power can be overwhelming, especially for those who have just awakened. The senior offers to find weaker monsters for the juniors to farm credits. But Lingyi, ignoring the senior's offer, rushes ahead, startling nearby monsters. The senior's face contorts in annoyance as Lingyi's hasty action draws the ire of the creatures. A flicker of surprise crosses Lingyi's face as he charges into the unknown. The timer for the simulated combat livestream begins. Meanwhile, the ultimate campus captain and vice captain tune into the livestream, intrigued. They express surprise that a junior has chosen a D-rank dungeon, especially the worthless green warrior, and are curious to see the source of their confidence. The senior, taken aback by Lingyi's impulsive move, wonders what prompted such a rush. Lingyi glances back, a hint of a challenge in his eyes, his mind already focused on his objective within the dungeon. The senior tried to warn Lingyi, urging him not to rush ahead for fear of startling the monsters. Lingyi, completely unfazed, retorted that the senior talked too much. He then dismissed the senior's concerns, ordering him to stand back as his help wasn't needed. The senior looked utterly shocked, exclaiming in disbelief at Lingyi's dismissal. The senior, flabbergasted, could only stammer in disbelief. A timer appeared, signaling the start of the simulated combat. The countdown showed 40 minutes and 37 seconds remaining. Someone remarked that this year's simulated combat livestream had finally begun. Students gathered around, observing a large screen displaying various trial participants. The screen was divided into numerous grids, each occupied by an individual participant. These broadcasts were being closely monitored by important figures. The ultimate campus captain nudged his companion, pointing him toward a particular stream, anticipating some entertainment. The ultimate campus vice captain, leaning casually, acknowledged the captain's suggestion. He noted with some surprise that one of the juniors had chosen a D-rank dungeon. The captain then inquired about the junior's class. The vice captain revealed that the junior was merely the most worthless green warrior. He then expressed his keen interest to see where the green warrior's confidence originated from. The vice captain watched intently, curious to witness the unfolding events and intrigued to discover the source of this unlikely participant's self-assurance. He was especially curious to see what lay behind the green warrior's bold confidence. Someone desperately yells for the others not to come closer, warning them that they're inside a sealed F-class labyrinth. The scene reveals the terrifying reality, a sealed F-class labyrinth teeming with monstrous creatures. A nervous companion tries to reassure the panicking one, reminding them that as a chanter, their role is to provide support from the back, not to be so anxious. A tense moment passes as the group grapples with the overwhelming situation. The monsters are identified, menacing flame bats and violent cats fill the frame. Shocked, someone exclaims in disbelief at how terrifying an F-class labyrinth, typically populated by low-grade monsters, can be. More F-class monsters are revealed, including the G-rank vicious Fong star ferret, alongside the vicious Fong. The danger persists within the sealed E-class labyrinth, where even these F-class monsters pose a significant threat. Concerned, one member checks on the others, asking if they are alright. With determined resolve, they declare that if the others are unable to handle the situation, they will step up and face it alone. Fueled by a fierce ambition, they swear that they will absolutely, without a doubt, surpass by E. Their stats boost with ferocity, strength plus 32%, critical hit plus 20%, lifesteal plus 15%. The scene shifts to a D-class labyrinth, a more challenging environment. A single fighter stands triumphant, having single-handedly defeated a G-rank rage main, earning 30 EXP. The aftermath shows multiple fallen rage mainies, each defeated and yielding 30 EXP, a testament to the fighter's prowess. One of the onlookers is stunned, utterly bewildered by the display of skill and asking how such a feat was accomplished. The victor explains that the monsters in this particular labyrinth are sealed and only at half strength, making them less of a challenge. Despite the explanation, the other person is still impressed, pointing out that even at half strength, the victor is engaging multiple enemies at once. The defeated fighter expresses a sense of inadequacy, realizing they still have a long way to go to catch up. The victor offers calm advice, suggesting that there's no need to compare themselves to others and that they should simply focus on their own personal growth. Someone comments on the victor's consistently cool demeanor, perhaps a bit teasingly. Chi-in declares with enthusiasm that they will do their very best. A senior character grumbles in frustration, feeling that the victor has unfairly taken all the spotlight. The senior character grumbles, feeling that someone else has hogged all the spotlight. Chi-in, with renewed determination, declares that they will do their very best. The senior cautioned Chi-in, reminding him that they were in a D-class dungeon and he shouldn't get too cocky, urging him to be careful. He acknowledged Chi-in's performance was commendable, but pointed out it was his first labyrinth, and a three-chambered one at that, which wasn't exactly easy to handle. Declaring his role as senior, he offered some advice, assigning Chi-in the task of handling monsters from the right flank while he would take the left. The scene shifted to the entrance of a dangerous labyrinth, marked by a glowing, intricate sigil and the remains of defeated creatures, hinting at the peril within. The dark, eerie forest floor was littered with the carcasses of monsters, their blood staining the ground. Strange, ethereal wisps floated in the air, adding to the unsettling atmosphere as figures stood in the distance. The senior's expression twisted into a sneer as he realized Chi-in was ignoring him again, a flicker of disbelief and annoyance crossing his face. He questioned if Chi-in could handle the lower-level monsters on his own, and Chi-in looked back defiantly, prompting the senior to grumble about the younger man's disrespect. The senior explained that this combat simulation was designed to test individual ability, reminding Chi-in that he was there to be assessed. He then asked Chi-in if he wanted to achieve a good score, a clear implication of the stakes involved in the assessment. Chi-in, with a confident smile, affirmed that he understood and could indeed achieve a good score. A portal pulsed with a dangerous red light, revealing the grim reality of the labyrinth, with defeated monsters lying in its wake. More fallen beasts were scattered across the terrain, their blood a stark contrast to the dark, shadowy environment. A spectral glow emanated from the portal, promising more challenges. The senior's face contorted in frustration, his gaze fixed and intense as he watched Chi-in. He muttered to himself, a grudging realization dawning that Chi-in preferred to take the more difficult path, much to his exasperation. As the senior watched, a powerful surge of energy emanated from him, revealing his readiness to engage, while Chi-in and the others observed. The observers are stunned, exclaiming, "This is incredible!" The chaos of battle is evident, with Bai standing amidst fallen monsters and ethereal wisps. They can barely contain their astonishment at Bai's swift and efficient handling of so many E-class monsters. They begin to question his true strength, wondering aloud about his current level. Despite his report still stating E-class level 1, they speculate he must be much higher, perhaps E3 or even E4. They note his strategic assignment of Chi-in to the right flank. Bai had strategically sent Chi-in to the right. They realized Bai's assignment was based on his sharp observation of elemental counter-relationships, utilizing Chi-yin's flora element against the astro element monsters. Even in a test of individual ability, his tactical awareness is incredibly impressive, making the most logical assignments. Suddenly, a memory surfaces of Bai's promise to his teacher, "Teacher, trust me." It's clear now that Bai wasn't just bragging, he was serious about not letting his teacher down during this graduation performance. The observers are left contemplating Bai's next move. What will he do next? An observer points out that these monsters have consistently been emerging from the right-hand cave. Furthermore, these low-level beasts are perfectly countered by Chi-yin's flora element. The battle intensifies as Chi-in demonstrates her mastery. Chi-in begins her offensive, calling out her skill, Vine Wall. A torrent of vines erupts, ensnaring the monstrous creatures. Chi-in, undeterred, pushes her abilities further, exclaiming, "Again!" The vines begin to emit a dangerous poison effect. With a final surge of power, she commands, "Constrict." Chi-in stands her ground, having successfully dealt with a significant threat and gained valuable experience. She has now gained experience, showing her progress in the labyrinth. Chi-in cheered, having successfully taken down another monster, a level 6 E-class star bug. She'd gained valuable experience, her expression beaming with joy and accomplishment. It was explained that mages at the E-class level have a basic skill unique to their profession. Meanwhile, Bai stood observing the battlefield, a picture of tactical genius amidst the chaos. Chi-yin's particular skill allowed her to use plants to create a poisonous wall. This flora element mage skill, named Vine Wall, could rapidly grow vines into a formidable defensive barrier, its thorns carrying a potent poison. Observers marveled at Chi-yin's composure, noting how remarkable it was for someone new to the labyrinth to face higher-level monsters alone. She wasn't just defending, she was already strategizing, planning to use her skills to trap and eliminate enemies by shrinking the combat area. Chi-in mused to herself that the D-class monsters should all be contained by now, confident she could handle any remaining threats directly in front of her. She considered her approach, thinking about how she could achieve a good score even under the scrutiny of the live broadcast. Even with the broadcast equipment having followed them into the labyrinth, Chi-in felt she could still hide her true strength and attain a high score. She pondered how to proceed with the next step of her secret plan under these conditions. Suddenly, an arrogant senior interrupted, his voice laced with indignation, assuming they were deliberately ignoring him. He glared at Bai and Chi-in, feeling disrespected. The senior sneered, telling them that since they thought they could handle everything themselves, they should prepare themselves. The atmosphere grew tense as he challenged them, a confident smirk on his face, implying they should try facing his power. He then unleashed his skill, pointing forward and proclaiming, "Then try this." The attack was revealed to be the arrow of light.